Good afternoon, Mandy. I don't suppose you're free at the moment, are you? There's something I need to talk to you about.
Hey, Mom. It's nice to hear from you. And yes, I just started my lunch break a few minutes ago, so I can talk now. Can I help you with something?
To tell the truth, there's something that's been bothering me about you for quite some time now. Perhaps you're aware of this, but I believe your spending habits are getting increasingly wasteful.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. If you don't mind me asking, what makes you say that?
My goodness, you mean to say you're not conscious of it? Dear me. Just this last weekend, you went on a bit of a vacation, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, that. It was my birthday, and Nathan took me on an overnight trip for a little treat to celebrate. We stayed at an adorable little bed and breakfast outside of town. I'll have to send you some of the pictures we took.
That's quite all right, dear. We still have much to discuss. For instance, the fact that you had this little vacation of yours not but 2 months after getting back from your honeymoon.
Yeah, that's why we only did an overnight stay rather than an extended 2 or 3 night stay.
And you bought a brand new car recently as well. I understand you might feel like you're financially capable of all the spending, since both of you have jobs, but to a rational observer like myself, I can't help but notice that you're being incredibly wasteful. Are you really?
Okay, well, thank you for your concern, Mom. But I want you to know that Nathan and I are very deliberate about our spending. We're not doing any of this on a whim. We carefully plan out our finances for months in advance in order to avoid spending beyond our means.
Really now? I'm not so sure. Honestly, I feel as though my son working at a powerful and influential company is leading you to be overconfident. One must always be cautious. Even if you have plenty of money on hand now, there's no telling what the future may bring.
I totally agree, Mom, 100%. We'll continue to be careful not to get careless with how we spend our money.
Be sure you do that, dear. And you need to watch out for Nathan, do you hear me? He's such a kind and hard-working boy that he'd never admit this to you, but he tends to get stressed out rather easily. I remember one time early on in his time with the company he's currently working for, when he ended up needing to take 2 weeks off because of stress. So I want you to be sure not to add any unnecessary stress in his life. You're his wife. It's your responsibility to support him.
You can count on me, Mom. I'll take great care of Nathan. He's always been a great man to me, so I fully intend to be just as good of a wife to him.
To tell the truth, I've been quite concerned about Nathan lately. He's never acted this way before. He doesn't answer my phone calls half of the time, and even when I text him, it takes him hours to reply.
Well, Nathan's been very busy with his work for the last few weeks.
So he's been working late then?
Yeah, pretty regularly, too.
Well, it does make me glad to hear that he's just as hardworking as ever. But as his mother, it still makes me worry about him. I mean, he's been busy in the past, but he's never been this difficult to get a hold of before. Mandy, would you be a dear and let Nathan know that his mother is worried about him?
Sure thing, Mom. I'll let him know when I see him later on tonight.
And don't forget to also tell him that he needs to be more prompt about getting back to me. If possible, I want replies to my text within half an hour, 1 hour at the most. Hello again, Mandy. Tell me, is my son back home from work yet?
Hi, Mom. No, he's not home yet. Is there a message you want me to give him?
Well, this is really a conversation that I wanted to have with him directly. Has he told you anything about my allowance for this month?
Not in particular, no. I was under the impression that he had already sent it, though.
The amount was much less than usual. And it's not just this month either. It's been getting gradually smaller every month for the last several months.
He's still sending you $1,500 a month, right? Combined with your Social Security payments, I think that should be more than enough for you to live on.
Are you serious? It's not even close enough. Don't tell me you forgot that I'm a widow. If I'm going to maintain my lifestyle, I'm going to need far more than just this.
I was under the impression that your husband left behind a sizable amount of assets for you when he passed.
Well, yes, he did. But like I told you before, who knows what the future might have in store for us? I want to make sure I have enough to cover my expenses in the event of an emergency. And I'd also like to leave as much money as possible to Nathan when I go to see my husband.
I see. But I'm sorry, Mom. There's just no way we're going to be able to increase your allowance any more than right now.
Why not? He used to send me $3,000 a month. And now he's married to you, and both of you are working. So I don't see any reason for my monthly allowance to decrease just because you got married.
But, Mom, of course our spending habits are going to change once we get married. I understand that you're concerned about the future and want to save up money in the event you need it, but we feel the same way too.
What do you have to be concerned about? You both have good jobs at good companies. How could you have any financial problems at all?
It's like you said, Mom, we don't know what the future has in store for us. It's the same reason that you don't want to dip into the money your husband left for you. Plus, we want to save as much as we can in preparation for when we decide to have kids.
I understand all of that, Mandy. But aren't you more concerned about me than yourselves? I'm an old woman who lost her husband, and I'm living all by myself. Don't you feel sorry for me having to live like a peasant?
I would say that even if your only income was the $1,500 we send you, you shouldn't have any problems making ends meet. So I have to say that present isn't quite an appropriate word for your current living situation. Even more so since your husband paid off your mortgage, so you don't have to worry about rent or anything.
You clearly have no idea how much money a person my age has to spend every month. Even the doctor's visits alone cost a fortune.
Don't you have Medicare, though?
That isn't the point. The point is you're not sending me enough money. Tell my son that he needs to go back to sending me a full $3,000 every month like before.
$100 a month should be more than enough for you. You were telling me a while ago that you were worried about my spending habits, weren't you? Maybe it's time for you to examine your own finances and see where you might be overspending.
Excuse me? Are you accusing me of some sort of spendthrift?
All I'm saying is that if you were living a normal lifestyle, the $1,500 should be sufficient.
Well, I never. How dare you speak to your own mother-in-law in such a brash tone? I'll have you know that the only reason I allowed you to marry my son was because you had a high-paying job at a respectable company like Nathan. Even then, I had my reservations. But once I knew you were going to keep your job after getting married, I held my tongue and gave my blessing.
Is that so?
Yes, it is so. If it weren't for that, I never would have accepted such an ugly, foul-mouthed girl as yourself as my daughter-in-law. The two of you make plenty of money. You've got no justification to decrease my allowance. That means the only logical conclusion to make is that you are wasting all of my son's money. I'll bet you feel so smart, having hidden your true nature until after you got married. I should have seen this coming. I knew you were fiscally irresponsible, and I wish I would have put a stop to this relationship when I had the chance.
I don't know what to tell you, Mom. I'm not wasting our money at all.
Nonsense. I saw the box for the brand new microwave you bought last month. And I saw the tags for a very expensive clothing brand in your garbage.
Wait a minute. So it was you who's been going through our garbage? That's utterly bizarre. Why would you do that?
It's your fault. You keep lying to me and saying you're not wasting money. But you can't hide anything from me, Mandy. I know what you really are now.
Mom, we've been getting complaints from the property manager that our garbage bin is a mess. Bags cut open, trash thrown all over the floor, that sort of thing. So could you please knock that off? If you do it again, I'm going to make a police report.
Silence, impudent girl. You're dodging the issue. I've been getting less money ever since you married my son. You need to stop denying it and admit that you are the one who's responsible.
I'm sorry, Mom, but I need to get back to work. Could we finish this conversation another time?
No, we cannot. I am talking and you are going to hear me out until I'm finished. You wouldn't dare put your phone down when your mother-in-law is speaking to you.
I'll talk with Nathan about your allowance and contact you again once we've made a decision.
That had better mean that you're going to start sending me $3,000 every month again. Don't forget that Nathan is my son. He'll do whatever I tell him to. If I felt so inclined, I could even get him to divorce you.
I see. I'll keep that in mind.
I think you need to be reminded just what sort of a position you're in. The only reason a pitiful girl like yourself was able to get married was because I allowed it to happen. And never forget that. Andy, you have some explaining to do. Nathan just informed me that you're not going to be sending me an allowance at all anymore? What's the meaning of this?
I'm not sure what else you want me to say that Nathan didn't already say. We're cutting off your allowance. Simple as that.
And not only that, he won't respond to any of my calls or texts anymore. I know that you're the one making him do this, you awful, awful girl. That's the only explanation that makes any sense. My son has never disobeyed me before in his life.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you're wrong. Nathan was the one who made that decision, not me.
You're lying. My dear son Nathan would never do something like this to me. The two of you have the day off from work today, correct? It's time for a family council. I'm heading over to your apartment right now. You two just wait right there.
Don't waste your time, Mom. It won't do you any good to go out to our apartment.
Huh! You think your will is stronger than mine? Clearly you underestimate me.
No, it's not about that. We don't live in that apartment anymore is what I'm trying to say. We moved.
What? You moved?
That's right.
Moved? Where did you move to? Give me your new address immediately.
I'm not giving you our new address, Mom. Not immediately, not in a few days, not ever. Both me and Nathan are more than fed up at you constantly demanding money from us.
That wouldn't be a problem if it weren't for you wasting all of your money. For goodness sake, you moved? That costs tons of money. You have to pay a moving company, put down a security deposit, pay realtors' fees. It's precisely that sort of impulsive spending that caused Nathan to reduce my allowance.
Actually, we filed our moving expenses in the medical portion of our budget, because constantly dealing with you was having a massive impact on our mental health.
I've heard enough out of you. I demand that you cease your proliferate spending this instant and restore my allowance to the full amount. Cut whatever cost you need to. That's your responsibility as his wife. All you need to do is earn money, do the housework, and shut your mouth. Did you forget that I have the power to end your marriage whenever I give Nathan the word? If you wish to remain married to my son, then you will have to pay my allowance from now on. I want a $3,000 payment in my bank account by this evening, or else you can consider yourself divorced.
I'm not paying you a dime, Mom. I just told you. We decided we're not going to give you your allowance anymore.
That's not for you to decide. That's for me and my son to decide. I won't allow any woman to come between me and my son. Cutting off my allowance was the biggest mistake you've ever made, Mandy.
Weren't you paying attention? It wasn't my decision. Your son Nathan made that decision. He's the one who handles all of our finances, so if you're upset at his decision, then you'll have to take it up with him. Oh, wait, that's right. He blocked your number, didn't he?
What do you mean?
I don't really think anything needs explaining. Nathan isn't working right now, so he's the one who handles all of our financial matters. Bills, savings, investments, that sort of thing.
He isn't working? That's impossible. He wouldn't give up a prestigious job at a prestigious firm.
He did, actually. He quit his job just a short while after we got married.
I can't believe this. Why did he do that?
He couldn't handle working for that company anymore. There was constant infighting amongst his colleagues, with everyone backstabbing each other to get a marginally better chance at being promoted. Then, once they got promoted, it was right back to backstabbing and gossiping in order to ruin their rivals' chances. His direct superior was one of those people who lied, cheated, and backstabbed his way to the top, too. Sure, the pay might have been pretty good, but considering the emotional, mental, and physical damage he had to put up with, it just wasn't worth it at all.
But I don't understand. He's gotten stressed out at that company before. When it happened in the past, he just took a few weeks off. That was all he needed in order to get back into action.
No, the only reason he didn't quit right then and there was because of your constant badgering. He told me everything, Mom. Like how you would barge into his apartment every single night during his break to lecture him about this or that. You need to hold in there. Don't give up. If you quit now, you'll regret it forever, and so on. He tells me he only went back to work to get you off his back. He would rather deal with a hostile working environment than you. What does that tell you?
Are you saying that it was my fault that he had an emotional breakdown?
That's exactly what I'm saying. You contributed to his poor emotional health more than anyone at that company. Would you like me to remind you of a few other pieces of emotional abuse you threw at him? If you don't go to work, then what am I going to do? How am I going to get by? Don't you care about me? I paid for your college tuition, and this is how you repay me? What are you going to do if you quit your job, Nathan? No company would hire a quitter. I didn't raise you to be a quitter. Don't you dare humiliate me, Nathan. And so on and so forth. Put yourself in Nathan's shoes. If you were so exhausted by your own workplace that you had to take a 2-week vacation in order to preserve your mental health, and every night your overbearing mother barged into your room and shouted that sort of harassment at you, don't you think that would be, at best, unhelpful?
All I wanted was for Nathan to work hard and achieve success.
No, that's not what you wanted. Don't lie to me. You were just afraid of getting less money from him if he gave up his high-paying career. You've leached enough money out of your son already, Mom. It's time to set him free. He's given you enough money already, more than enough. Far too much, if you ask me. At the very least, he's given you far more in allowance than you spent on his college tuition.
So it's true then. Nathan really did quit his job. This is terrible. But wait, this doesn't make any sense. Up until recently, he told me he was busy with work. And so did you. You gave that as the reason he couldn't respond to my messages. But are you trying to tell me he wasn't working? Ha! I've caught you in a lie, Mandy. You were just making up that story in order to have an excuse to not send me my allowance.
Well, I guess I have to make an admission at this point. You are right that you caught me in a lie, but it's not the lie you're thinking of. I was lying when I told you he was busy at work, and so was he. It was all a cover story to keep you from knowing that we were getting ready to move to a place where you couldn't find us anymore. Oh, but the other night, he was actually going to a cooking class. He told me that since he's at home all day doing most of the cooking, he wants to become as good of a cook as he can.
He's taking cooking lessons?
Yeah. Do you want to see some pictures of the food he's made for me? He's actually getting really, really good. The other day, he made some French dish for me. I don't remember what it's called or how to pronounce it, but it was awesome.
Don't waste my time. I know you're lying. You're just going to find some pictures on the internet and pretend it's something Nathan cooked. Why won't you just give in and admit you're making this all up? I know what I'll do. I'm going to call Nathan's company. That should settle things once and for all. After I call them and they confirm that Nathan did not quit his job, I'm going to have him divorce you immediately.
I mean, I guess you're welcome to go ahead and try. But today's Saturday, so I don't think there's going to be anyone at the office to answer your call.
I know that. Don't act like I'm some blithering idiot. I'll call them on Monday. You have until then to confess your lies and apologize. Good morning, Mandy. I hope I'm not bothering you at work right now.
Not at all, Mom. I actually took the day off today. To what do I owe the pleasure of you texting me this morning? If I had to guess, I'd say you probably just got off the phone with Nathan's old company.
Indeed, my dear. It seems that you were telling the truth after all. Nathan really did resign his position several months ago.
I'm glad you finally came to acknowledge the truth. With that settled, you no longer have any reason to interfere in our lives. I would deeply appreciate it if you would refrain from contacting either me or Nathan ever again.
Wait! I was hoping that we might be able to have a brief conversation. It won't take long, I promise.
What do you want? If you're going to ask us to give you your allowance again, let me cut you off right here and say that there is no chance of that ever happening.
But Mandy, it was my late husband's estate. It's almost completely gone.
I see. I guess you shouldn't have been living vastly beyond your means then.
That's not it. I was only buying the bare essentials. It's just, when you get to be my age, the bare essentials get more expensive. An old woman like me can't just buy any food or clothing. It has to be specially designed for an older body.
The bare essentials, huh? Oh yeah, Nathan told me all about your bare essentials. Back before we got married, you would go on multiple vacations every month. Treat yourself to extravagant food and drink at expensive restaurants. He told me one year you took his entire Christmas bonus from him and spent it all on one single handbag that's not even big enough to hold a cell phone. You were giving me all sorts of grief about my spending habits, but come to find out, you're the one who couldn't control her own expenses. Not only that, you weren't even using your own money. It was all money that your husband gave you or that you stole from Nathan. That's pretty low, Mom.
But I'm his mother. It's only natural that a mother would receive some kind of gratitude from her son, isn't it? I worked so hard to raise that boy, so I don't think I've done anything wrong by receiving a small portion of his income.
Well, you've already received a small portion of his income and then some, so you shouldn't need to take any more from him. From now on, you'll just have to live within your means like every other adult in the world has to do.
You mean you expect me to lower my standard of living? Don't be ridiculous. I've been accustomed to this lifestyle for far too long to give it up now.
Yeah, I thought that's what you would say. But I'm afraid that your greediness isn't our problem or our responsibility. You should take a page from Nathan's book. Despite earning enough income to live a far more lavish lifestyle at the time we got married, he was still wearing the same clothes he used when we first met. And none of it was fancy brand clothing or anything. It was all stuff that looked like he got it on sale at the department store. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but at the same time, you were forcing Nathan to pinch every last penny. You were living large off the money that you were taking from him.
Of course I was. I'm his mother. And it's not like I was keeping anything a secret. He knew what I was doing with the allowance he was sending me.
Yeah, he knew it all along and was always resentful of it. That resentment has gradually built up over time, and now it's gotten so bad that he's made the decision to cut you off completely.
Can't you please get Nathan to talk to me? I feel terrible about what I've done to him, and I want to apologize. You're right. I was being egregiously wasteful with the money that I was receiving from him. I realize that now.
That's okay. You don't need to talk to him. He's with me right now, and he's been reading this entire conversation. He says that he doesn't need or want an apology from you, and that if you're really sorry, the way he wants you to show it is by never interfering in our lives again.
I don't want to have this conversation through you. I want to talk with my son. If he's sitting next to you, then at least pass him the phone so I can talk to him directly.
You think he wants to talk to you, Mom?
There you go again, sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. This is a family matter between my son and I, and you have no part in it. Now, give the phone to Nathan this instant.
Yeah, this is a family matter, and Nathan is my family. And I will not sit idly by and allow you to hurt my precious family member any longer.
Nonsense! I haven't hurt him at all. All I want is to talk to my son. I have that right.
Just talking to you is a massive stress trigger for Nathan. It brings back memories of the time when you were badgering him into not quitting the job that was basically killing him. So if you really care for your son at all, you'll do what I say and stop trying to contact him. We've said all we have to say, so I'm going to end the conversation here.
Wait! Don't go yet! All right, I understand. I was asking for too much, so I'll deal with just $1,500 a month. It won't quite give me the lifestyle I expect, but I'll have to manage. So please, don't do something that you'll regret.
Just $1,500? What do you mean, just $1,500? Do you think it's easy for us to earn enough money to both fund our own lifestyle after giving you $1,500 every month? You aren't showing even one iota of remorse. So again, we've said all we have to say and don't want you in our lives any longer. End of discussion.
But Mandy, I'm desperate. I'm begging you. You have to give me something. Anything. If things keep going as they are, I won't have any money to spend on food by the end of the month.
When Nathan came to you in his time of need, what did you say to him? You told him to suck it up and keep trudging forward. So if you're looking for pity, you won't find it here. I remember you once told me that as Nathan's wife, it's my job to support him. And now I plan to do just that. I'm supporting him right now in the best way that I know how. Protecting him from a greedy, wasteful, demanding, overbearing leech like you. I blocked Nathan's mother's number immediately after that. Sometime later, I asked a relative for an update on how she was doing out of curiosity. Apparently, she had to start selling the things she had bought with the money she got from her husband and Nathan in order to stay afloat. Long gone are her days of treating herself to stays in 5-star hotels and meals in 5-star restaurants. Now she's living off food she buys on sale at the local supermarket. I hope that this will teach her a lesson and that she'll come to understand just how awful her behavior was. Even if she does, though, I still won't forgive her. As for my husband, cutting off his mother has produced an incredible improvement in his mental well-being. He's off all his psych meds and he's even started looking for a job. I'm so proud of the progress he's made, and I hope to continue to do whatever I can to support him as his wife.